Our life depends on it.
And good afternoon, everyone. My name is Brian Ives, and I am the producer and host of the Cultural Connections podcast. We are coming on here live because we felt the need, given the events that have taken place here within the last 24 hours, to come on here live to bring you up to date information about the terrible day that the country saw yesterday with the destruction that took place at the Capitol building in Washington D.C. Really, what yesterday was supposed to be a ceremonial style day, and instead it turned into a day of violence and really just unexplained, unacceptable behavior. We thought here again, and we try to be as much as independent as we can on this podcast, especially when it comes to political related issues. But we wanted to come on here, bring you up to date information on what we know so far with what's going on. And I want to start off with showing I mean, these pictures, I think the pictures speak for themselves. I think that's a self-explanatory thing here, and I'm going to show these pictures to you in just a minute. Bear with me for a second so I can get them. Um, Hold on a minute so I can get them up on screen. And we're going to share these pictures with you. And I'm sure many of you watching this live right now have seen these pictures. And these pictures just are un-American. I think that's the simplest way that I can describe it. I'm going to show those pictures to you now, and just realize that what you're seeing is not what America is all about. Obviously, here, and I want to also remind all of our viewers where you're coming to you live right now on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Instagram. This is a special. I know it says Georgia Senate runoff, and I'm going to talk about that in just a minute because we never really finished our coverage yesterday because of all of these, the commotion that took place at the Capitol building. But you can see here in this picture, um, this is Nancy Pelosi, the Speaker of the House's office. And you see this man who is a Trump supporter sitting at her desk with his foot up on her desk, completely un American and just unacceptable behavior, to say the very least. Scrolling through here, and I'm going to zoom in on this picture. This is outside the Capitol building where you can see protesters with many Trump signs all throughout, really trying to get into the Capitol building yesterday. Here's another picture, and I'll zoom in to make this bigger. I apologize as it comes out a little blurred. Again, similar sight there of protesters trying to get into the Capitol building. Here's another one. And again, you see the same type of thing here. The amount of people out there protesting this and being violent, to say the least, is unacceptable. And again, it's un-American, to say the least. Another picture here, people climbing, sorry about that, climbing and I'll get my screen back to sharing here. Hopefully we're coming back on here live. Climbing the, uh, come on. Hold on a minute. Climbing. I'm hoping there we go. Instagram is back live. Sorry about that, folks. If you were on Instagram, here's another picture of protesters climbing the side of the Capitol building. I mean, this is supposed to be a sacred day, a day where, again, the joint session of Congress counts and certifies an election. What this president has done over the past several weeks since the election is unacceptable behavior, and someone like him does not deserve to be in the Oval Office, does not deserve to be president of the United States, in my opinion. It is disgraceful to see the kind of behavior that we saw yesterday, and the fact is, this lies right all on President Trump. The acts that we saw yesterday are simply undeniable. That lies on anyone else. These supporters can try to put the blame on the other side, do whatever they want, but that you can't hide the fact that there were all these Trump signs out there, and that these are not fake Trump supporters. They were Trump supporters, and this is not what America. This is not American. What we saw yesterday, I totally believe, and I'll say this, that Americans and everyone has the right to a peaceful protest, but we do not have the right to be violent. And you have the right, yes, to a First Amendment, but that is not what the First Amendment is about. Yesterday, what we saw, and to threaten members of both political parties yesterday, like we saw, including the Vice President of the United States, is unacceptable behavior. And as of right now, what we can tell you so far, to what we do know, is that Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer, the Senate Majority Leaders Chuck Schumer and House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, along with a bunch of House Republicans, House Democrats, and Senate Republicans and Senate Democrats, are calling for the 25th, for Mike Pence, Vice President Pence, to adapt the 25th Amendment and have President Trump removed from office. We also are aware at this time that Nancy Pelosi has said if Vice President Pence does not act on the 25th Amendment, invoking the 25th Amendment, that they will consider impeachment, of impeaching President Trump again. And again, what we do know as of right now is that there has been a scuttlebutt of cabinet meetings to discuss this, of the invoking the 25th Amendment. We have not heard anything yet from Vice President Pence as of yet. We shall see on that. The other news that we're just following in at this time is that President Trump has also talked with aides about the possibility of pardoning himself in recent weeks. He has talked about that. That is obviously not really legal. He cannot pardon himself. And again, we are told from what the sources that we have read and looked and been reading into, is that he is angry with the vice president. He is angry with members of his own party who have turned on him. We saw last night as Senator Lindsey Graham, who did a remarkable, is what's been called a 180, and said that he cannot support the objection of these electoral college votes, that we just need to move forward now. Now is the time to move forward. And it was a remarkable thing to see Senator Lindsey Graham do that. We have seen Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell do the same thing. Again, very remarkable to say the least. We have seen as well today, heard a big resignation announcement with the Secretary of Transportation, Elaine Chao, has resigned. As many of you know, Secretary Elaine Chao is the wife of Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell, and she has officially announced her resignation. We have also learned last night of the resignation of the First Lady Melania Trump's Chief of Staff, Stephanie Grisham, who also served as a former press secretary for President Trump. Again, this violence that we saw yesterday, this mob that stormed the Capitol building, is unacceptable. We've heard that there have been around 94 arrests, and there have been 4 deaths as of that are associated with yesterday's protest. One being a woman who is a 14-year veteran from San Diego, was in the Air Force, a 14-year veteran of the Air Force, and was shot and killed yesterday. Died of her injuries at the hospital, but was shot and killed by what we're being told is by federal authorities or Capitol Police there in the Capitol building. But the behavior, simply put, yesterday is just unacceptable. And that's why we're really coming on here. Yesterday, we started off the day talking about the Georgia Senate runoff races, and we had the answers on who won those races. And we now know that both Democrat candidates, Jon Ossoff and Raphael Warnock, won their respective races, and have also given the Democrats the majority now in the Senate chamber. Again, really, yesterday, from what we saw, is just unacceptable. This is something that will be investigated for a long time, and it'll be a dark day to remember in history for a long time to come. It is unbelievable that we even have to talk about this. And we saw, as the president then yesterday, after all of this unfolded, we watched as the president of the United States, after this unfolded, the president of the United States was tweeting yesterday asking for the saying to these people that were protesting violently that you are special and I love you. There's something wrong there. And as we've also read and seen here that former Speaker of the House, Newt Gingrich, has spoken out saying that he too believes that the 25th Amendment should be invoked. And he also believes that both parties, Democrat and Republican, should invoke a rule that makes it so that no person who is involved in an extremist party is allowed to seek political office or is allowed to run for political office. It is clear from what we saw yesterday that President Trump is part of these extremist parties, extremist groups that we saw protesting yesterday. And there is no denying the fact that these were indeed Trump supporters. That said, here, I'm not going to keep going on and on about this because I don't think that the information that there is enough to say about really all of this going on. I had to come on here to speak and basically give an update about this. And if you like what you're seeing and you would like to see more updates on this, I'd be happy to do them. So please comment below if you'd like to see more live videos on this topic, specifically in the political nature of things. And again, I open to all political viewpoints. So if you are watching live with me, feel free to comment below on whatever platform you're watching, whether that be Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, or YouTube. That's where these videos will be. These do not go uploaded to our streaming platform because they are pure specials. They are updates. So I'm not posting them there. Before we go, I do also want to show you, because I realize I have video here to show you as well of these protests that took place on Capitol Hill yesterday. And the video, I think, shows it even more, and it's despicable. And I'm going to show you the video now. If my computer wants to behave. So as you can see here, and I'm going to pause that for a second. As you can see here, this is what we're seeing here, what we saw yesterday, and it is despicable just to watch this. I mean, and I'm going to fast forward here, and you can see the amount of people that are out here protesting. It is disgraceful that this is what unfolded yesterday. And again, there's no denying the fact you see here in the background where my cursor is showing that these are indeed Trump supporters. And it is just disgraceful that this is what we have to see. You can see on your screen where my cursor is the Trump banners that are up there. It is truly unreal. This is what happened yesterday. I wanted to make sure that we showed some of these videos. And again, you see this all over here in different places, all the red hats, the Make America Great Again hats. It's really something else to talk about. And it's truly remarkable, to say the least. So with that said, I'm going to end this live video. But again, if you like what you're seeing and you want me to continue my coverage on this, comment below on this, and I will gladly continue this coverage. I think it's important. I think it's important that we continue this discussion, and I would love for you watching to be part of this discussion with me. So please don't be shy from commenting. I'm not judging based on political views on this. I want to see different political views on this. I want to hear your thoughts. Do you think yesterday's protests were acceptable? Do you think the president of the United States incited this violence? My personal belief is yes. The blood is on his hands. He did incite the violence. Now it's time for the cabinet of the United States to act and the vice president of the United States to act and invoke the 25th Amendment or have Congress impeach if they fail so to do so. With that said, again, I want to hear your thoughts. We might come back on here live to discuss this further, so stay with us for continuing coverage on all of this. My name is Brian Ives. I'm the producer, and I am the host of the Cultural Connections podcast. Stay with Cultural Connections for continuing coverage of all of this, and we might come back on here live later on with further up-to-date information should there be a reason to warrant it. My name is Brian Ives, and I am the producer and host of the Cultural Connections podcast.
You've been watching the Cultural Connections podcast, Georgia Senate Runoff Election Special. For continuing coverage, stay with Cultural Connections for the most up-to-date information on this historic election.
Well, perhaps Senator Perdue would have been able to respond properly to the COVID-19 pandemic.
But the most insidious thing that Chuck Schumer and Joe Biden are trying to perpetrate...
Are you ready to show America that Georgia's a red state?
And so vote Georgia like your life depends on it.